بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآله الطاهرين اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا اللهم اجعلنا من أنصاره وأعوانه صلوات
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
So, Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is the fourth session of the series about Imam Mahdi alayhi salam in Quran. So we were talking, Assalamu alaikum. As you remember, we were talking about Quranic verses related to Imam Mahdi alayhi salam and the general concept of Mahdawiyya. And just categorize them in 7 categories. So, as I mentioned before, the first 3 categories are the ones that are more direct, if you put it that way, and related to the concept of Mahdawiyya. And from the Zahir, from the apparent text of Quran, we can see and relate to the concept of Mahdawiyya, as we talked about them. So today, we're going to start the third topic, which is the triumph of the religion of God, and we'll discuss those, and then inshallah we'll continue with the topics. I added the total count of verses that we talked about. This is just for our in our session. There are many other verses that we didn't talk about, but just to have an idea. All right, with that, let's jump into the third category. We see a concept in Quran, which is the promise, the guarantee from God about the triumph of the religion of God, aka Islam. And that's a broad topic. There are many verses alluding to this concept. Some of them are very specific and clear. These 3 that you see here are very clear. There are other verses that we're going to talk about, which, as I said, this is a group of Quranic verses talking about this. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. So it is he who has sent his apostle with guidance and the true religion, that he may make it prevail over all religions. وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْمُشْرِكُونَ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْكَافِرُونَ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْمُجْرِمُونَ. We have that in other verses of the Quran. That although the mushrikun, they don't like it. They try to push back, right? They hate that concept. So there are a lot of interesting points in this ayah. One, God is the one who sent his messenger, and there was a reason, there was a purpose. When it says لَيُظْهِرَهُ, that lam in Arabic they call lam ta'liliyah, like specifying and talking about the purpose, the goal, the objective. Why you sent messenger? At least one of the reasons is لِيُظْهِرَهُ عَلَى الدِّينِ كُلِّهِ. So it was not just, okay, let's see what happens. This is not how God works, right? That, okay, we'll see what happens. I'm not sure. Try and error, start up. If it was successful, okay, good. If not, okay, we tried. No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all powerful, is talking to us. And if you remember, we talked about some of other Quranic verses that he says, we have promised, we have willed, very strong and powerful. And here as well, it's not a try and error. So all of the religions will be kind of defeated. The religion that God has chosen will be the triumph. And that would be the leading one. لِيُظْهِرَهُ عَلَى الدِّينِ كُلِّهِ. لِيُظْهِرَهُ عَلَى الدِّينِ كُلِّهِ. These 2 terms, at least, they have a very important meaning here. all religions. So the question is, as you remember, we said these are very clear concepts. How and who, by who this will happen. And I have been saying this many times repeatedly, that if we talk to our non-Shia friends, we say, okay, considering the current system in place in Muslim world, how this promise of God will be realized, will come to reality, basically, right? Because per your belief, there won't be any messenger. We believe that as well. But there's a disconnect between heavens and earth. No new revelation, no divinely appointed person will come. If that's the case, and fact number two, we see what's going on. How many sects, group, within even Shia community, within Sunni community, we see. Which one is لِيُظْهِرَهُ عَلَى الدِّينِ كُلِّهِ الَّذِي ارْتَضَى لَهُمْ, the other promise that you remember. So these together show the guarantee, and also that this will be done by a divinely appointed person, someone who has the divinely provided knowledge, the knowledge from God, so he knows basically what is right and wrong. There are two other verses in that category that they, as I said, allude to this. They might be not that explicit, but still the same concept, and we can have this discussion about. لِيُحِقَّ الْحَقَّ وَيُبْطِلَ الْبَاطِلَ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْمُجْرِمُونَ, so that he may confirm the truth and bring falsehood to naught. So how is that happening? When do we see that now? لِيُحِقَّ الْحَقَّ. Again, pay attention to that little lam. لِيُحِقَّ. That's the purpose. That's the goal. That's what he wants to do. To do what? To confirm the truth. Let's be honest. If we look at the earth from 30,000 foot view, do we see that has happened? The haqq, the truth is confirmed? No. وَيُحِقُّ اللَّهَ الْحَقَّ بِكَلِمَاتِهِ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْمُجْرِمُونَ. God says Allah says he will confirm the truth with his words, though the guilty should be averse. The guilty ones, the tyrants, they don't like it, right? يُرِيدُونَ لِيُطْفِئُوا نُورَ اللَّهِ بِأَفْوَاهِهِمْ. They want to put the light out, but God says, no, I will confirm it. You see, this is a very broad group of Quranic verses that they all talk about this fact. And again, when we put them together, there is no other way but having a divinely appointed person who will fulfill this mission and fulfill this promise.
Oh,
Yes.
I didn't pay attention to the last slide to what the citations were, but are those verses in context with the last verses?
So I think it was in this class we were talking about this. Quran has one of the Quranic patterns is using a story or example or something to say a general statement, right? So you remember the beginning of Surah Qasas 5, when he mentioned the story of Fir'aun and Fir'aun ala fil ard. Then God gave a very high level statement. وَنُرِيدُ أَن نَمُنَّ عَلَى الَّذِينَ اسْتُضْعِفُوا. So I don't honestly recall the context. We can go and check that لِيُحِقَّ الْحَقَّ. It might be about, I don't know. It's easy. We can just check. I don't want to spend time now. Might be about one of the prophets or something. But the statement is general. يُحِقَّ الْحَقَّ. هو الذي أرسل. These are very clear and specific to our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, especially when it says لِيُظْهِرَهُ عَلَى الدِّينِ كُلِّهِ. But high level, maybe it was better we put these two first, give a general concept, لِيُحِقَّ الْحَقَّ وَيُبْطِلَ الْبَاطِلَ, and then related to our Prophet, هو الذي أرسل رسوله. Question, why use the word may and assuring words statement? So, I mean, honestly, I don't 100% agree with the word may in translation. We have at least 5 Arab friends in the room and maybe some online. ليحق الحق, actually it has affirmation, not may, right? So it's not okay. And maybe others, English speaking friends, may does not necessarily imply uncertainty, right? Am I right or no?
Yes, it doesn't imply that here in this translation.
Thank you, Danny. Yes. Okay. Very good.
Polite word to use.
It's a polite word to use. Okay.
Like, may I move that table?
Heck, I want to do it, right?
Exactly.
But I'm polite.
I have a question.
Yes, please. Yes, I
I wanted to know, so in the second ayah in Surah Yunus, can a bikalamate be considered like is it like literally Allah's words, or like can it be considered imam?
That's a very good question. Yes, kalimat is another vague, purposefully vague and broad term. If you remember, what is one of the titles of Jesus alayhi salam? Kalimatullah. Kalimatullah. Very good question, brother Ali Naghi. I think it was Ali Naghi. So, kalima means word, but it also can mean people that God has appointed and selected. And there are some discussions why they're called kalima, which we can talk about it later. But just to be specific and bringing an example from Quran, yes, God's representatives are called kalima as well. Clear example, Isa alayhi salam. So, بكلماته can mean بأنبيائه وبأئمته وبأوليائه. Isa kalimatullah. Does that make sense? All right. Good discussions and questions. So let's move forward to a new topic which is brought, which is the fourth one, Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, ghaibah and occultation. So these 4 categories are the ones that are not so clear about Imam Mahdi and Mahdawiyya. They're related, and these are mainly for us. However, there's a very important point as we're going to talk about. If we look at the Quranic patterns, Quran is doing another task here, which is setting the precedents, normalizing some concepts for non-believers. So to be more clear, let me just explain a little bit before we start reading about these verses. So the first 3 categories, they were so clear, it relates to the concept of Mahdawiyya. There would be, there should be, there shall be, it's guaranteed that a divinely appointed person exists at all time, which such person will fulfill the mission and the promise of God to make the religion of God the dominant one, and the Salihin, the righteous ones, will inherit the earth. All those discussions that we have, very clear. Now, when we come to these 4 categories, Quran, it's just a quick reminder about Quranic patterns that we were talking about. Sometimes Quran brings examples, stories, to do what we call it daf'i istib'ad, which means like dispelling the improbability. People usually they say, "Oh, is that possible?" We hear that a lot, right? And this is not new. So let me bring some of these examples. وَضَرَبَ لَنَا مَثَلًا وَنَسِيَ خَلْقَهُ قَالَ مَنْ يُحْيِي الْعِظَامَ وَهِيَ رَمِيمٌ. The mushrikeen, they would come and say, one of them say, "Okay, now I'm going to beat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How? With this little bone, a decayed bone. He took it and to Prophet, يحيي العظام وهي رميم. Just literally, he turned it into powder and say, are you serious? Are you kidding? This bone will be resurrected? Come on. So this is called istib'ad in Arabic. And we see that in many cases, many concepts. Breaking the allegiance of Ghadir. How is that possible? If Prophet was clear on the day of Ghadir, people come back and say, we break it and we go. Allah give the example of Nabiullah Musa and Harun. Clear, everything was clear. People wanted to break their promise. Many other examples. So there are other wisdoms hidden in these stories. Story of Prophet Musa alayhi salam, hidden birth, longevity of Prophet Nuh, you name it. So divine representation in childhood. Imam Jawad alayhi salam, Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. Is it possible 5-year-old be an imam? Do you believe in Quran? Do you remember Jesus? وَيُكَلِّمُ النَّاسِ فِي الْمَهْدِ وَكَهْلًا. So he will talk. He was talking when he was just born and said, إِنِّي عَبْدُ اللَّهِ آتَانِيَ الْكِتَابَ وَجَعَلَنِي نَبِيًّا. I am prophet, okay? And I am 2-year-old. 2-day-old. Right? And then, so this is one great pattern in Quran. If we read those stories from that perspective, a hidden hujjah, right? That is it possible that, so as you can see, these concepts, they have different audience, people. Some people, they were mushrikeen, resurrection and the day of judgment. Some of them are within Muslim communities. Is it possible that someone lived like 1,000 years? Yes. Look at Prophet Nuh. Is it possible that a hujjah that God appointed be hidden or go in ghaibah and occultation? Quran says, yes. I give you examples. I am narrating these stories to you all, so I dispel that istib'ad that you say, oh, is it possible? Yes, it is possible. For example, many verses in Quran, they talk about the earth and how things will be revived in spring, right? And then what does Quran say after that? وَفِيهَا آيَاتٌ. There are signs for people that they comprehend, they reflect, they think, right? Because yes, Rabi', spring is so beautiful. We enjoy it. It's so beautiful. But remember, that's a sign that things that are dead can be revived, right? Yes, story of Musa alayhi salam is so beautiful. We enjoy it. But remember, there's a sign there in his birth, in his when Pharaoh took him, and all the way after the Harun, and then the story that yes, people of a prophet can break their promise, although it was super clear, and there are many concepts that Quran is basically kind of normalizing. That's one of the patterns. The other one, what we call it, is mathal, right? To presenting parables. And that's another thing that Quran, in my words, brag about, right? There is no parable, but we mentioned it in Quran, right? We have this, and we see that a lot of things Quran explains using method. It's not example, rather parable. Does that make sense, parable? Right? So for example, the light of God. We talked about it briefly, Ayatul Nur, or in other classes we went in details. That مَثَلُ نُورِهِ كَمِشْكَاتٍ. Allah is the light of the world and heavens and earth. But this is not the literal light. That itself is a parable. And then I give you some details how it works. مَثَلُ نُورِهِ كَمِشْكَاتٍ, and all that, those beautiful concepts in that ayah. Or for example, there are a lot which are so beautiful, like the spider web. The people that they take people beside God as their guardian, their parable is like spider web. or كبيت العنكبوت. Let's stick to بيت العنكبوت because there are some interesting discussion about the word bait in that context. Or like the falsehood is like the foam on water. فيذهب جفاء. Like you see when you go to the beach, رزقنا الله وإياكم, the waves come and then the white foam appears. It's the first thing you see. It's so visible. It gets your attention. Well, guess what? What happens? It's gone. Quran beautifully says the parable of batil, falsehood, is like that foam. Makes big scene, gets a lot of attention, but is hollow, very unstable, and it will be gone quickly in eyes of God, very quickly. 100 years, 1,000 years, billion years, blink of an eye, right? So this is just a quick muqaddama, like introduction, before we go to the verses about the occultation and ghaibah of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. So we will see that that's one thing that Quran has done related to Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, giving examples of ghaibah of prophets. So no one asks, oh, a prophet who is hidden is not a prophet, because prophet should be visible, should make big scene and big, rule and all of that. No, there are cases, and I give you examples. In another word, Quran is normalizing the occultation of a hujjah. And that's a very important thing. Two things here we need to pay attention to before we start reading the Quranic verses. One is normalizing the occultation of a hujjah. It's possible, and Allah has done it. These are also very beneficial talking to non-Shias within the Islamic world. And some of the Shias, they have questions about. And what does this remind you about? Imam Zaman alayhi salam and his order to Sheikh al-Saduq. This is a very important concept. When Sheikh al-Saduq Rizwanullah alayhi had a challenge or very difficult, a problem or difficulty in his life, in that trip that he was in Nishabur, so Imam alayhi salam advised him, just why you don't write a book in ghaibah? And he was like, I have written a lot of books during the time of ghaibah. So Imam explains, no, do it this way. Bring examples from prophets that they went into occultation to normalize this concept, because the concept of ghaibah is so weird and unique at that time, like almost 1,000-something years ago, right? Shia community, Muslim community, they were not used to it. So Imam alayhi salam says, do this. Bring examples of the ghaibah of other prophets, so people say, oh, okay, it's something normal. God has done it before. So Sheikh Saduq brings a lot of examples from prophets, which I have not gathered all of them, the ones that are clearly mentioned in apparent text of Quran. Like, for example, Prophet Idris, I think is the first one that Kamaluddin mentions, but Quran talks about Idris, but doesn't at least explicitly talk about his ghaibah. So I excluded those to just be precise, and also the ones that are specifically mentioned in the Zahir of Quran. The second task that Quran does in talking about prophets related to the ghaibah and occultation is normalizing the meaning of occultation. What does ghaibah mean? So you Shia don't make sense. Why? Because you say Imam is living on earth, we see him, we don't know him. Yes. Is that possible? Yes. You remember the story of Yusuf alayhi salam? His brothers. فَعَرَفَهُمْ وَهُمْ لَهُ مُنْكِرُونَ. He knew them, he recognized them, but they didn't recognize him. If God wants, he can do that. And guess what? He has done it to set the precedence. No one come and question, no, it's not possible, it doesn't make sense. The whole package about Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, salawatullahi alayhi, Quran beautifully has already talked about it, right? And we have discussed this in the previous course in Mekyal, So I refer friends that are interested to go to those topics. So with that, yeah, 10:30. Let's start discussion about the verses related to the ghaibah, which again connects to the ghaibah of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. So first one, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. Again, quick reminder, I picked the prophets that explicitly Quran talks about their occultation, being in ghaibah, right? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. This is about Prophet Ibrahim. وأعتزلكم وما تدعون من دون الله وأدعو ربي عسى ألا أكون بدعاء ربي شقيا. Now I will go apart from you. Now I'm leaving you, my people. So is it possible a prophet be in ghaibah? No one knows where he is? Yes. Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. Quran clearly talks about it. And when we read the story and details in the hadith, it's about the beginning when one of the kings, so basically they expelled him from the city, and Ibrahim alayhi salam says, okay, I leave you. I go apart from you. The second example, which is about which prophet? Prophet Yunus alayhi salam. إذ أبغى إلى الفلك المشحون. When he ran away to the laden ship. So is it possible? Yes, it is possible. And prophets, they have done it, and God explained it to us. So Yunus alayhi salam went away and left his community, right? There's another beautiful relation and similarity between Prophet Yunus and Imam Mahdi alayhi salam is when he came back. When he came back, he looked young. Yes.
You're gonna say, what is laden?
Mashhun. Ama anta Arab. So means like packed, loaded, heavily loaded with the I looked it up before. Yes. So heavily loaded ship. Mashhun. Mashhun is way better than laden, right? Okay. Do you have any question? What? Yes. So hopefully, like Allah akuna bidu'a rabbi shaqiya. Like
Yeah, perhaps.
yeah, in hope of asa. It's a translation of asa. Yeah. All right. So this is good that I do the English lookup before. Yeah, I did that as well. I think this is from Arbery. I pick between Arbery, Qarai, and Shakir and Sarwar. Depends on
Your mood?
huh?
Your mood?
Not my mood, honestly. The words that are the point of like discussion and also like, and this looks Arbery. I'm not 100% sure. Daniel can confirm, brother Danny. All right, so let's move forward. Prophet Musa alayhi salam, at least two examples, right? فَفَرَرْتُ مِنْكُمْ لَمَّا خِفْتُكُمْ فَوَهَبَ لِي رَبِّي حُكْمًا وَجَعَلَنِي مِنَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. And also the second one, فَخَرَجَ مِنْهَا خَائِفًا يَتَرَقَّبْ قَالَ رَبِّ نَجِّنِي مِنَ الْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. They were after him to kill him. So, you know, you may have heard this when it comes to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, to the story of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. It's not possible that the rise of Imam Hussein, a revolutionist like Imam Hussein, be fearful. Imam Hussein says, actually, he used this ayah, فَخَرَجَ مِنْهَا خَائِفًا يَتَرَقَّبْ. Khawf doesn't mean fear. It means, we talked about it before, unsafety, if you remember. مِنْ بَعْدِ خَوْفِهِمْ أَمْنًا. When it says خَوْفِهِمْ أَمْنًا means unsafety. Not that he was not brave, but when you are not safe, you don't feel safe, what do? You escape, you leave, because you have to save your life. So when we read those narrations that say Imam Mahdi alayhi salam went to occultation to save his life because he was khaif about his life, a lot of time, unfortunately, it's translated wrongly. Like he was fearful. He was not safe. So the example in Quran we have from Prophet Musa alayhi salam. So as you can see, all these occultations or ghaibah from different prophets, each of them from different angles relate to Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, which is so beautiful. Prophet Yunus, one aspect. Ibrahim alayhi salam said, Prophet Musa, فَفَرَرْتُ or خَائِفًا يَتَرَقَّبْ. These are all important points related to Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. Any question? So let's go to the best of stories, the most beautiful story that Quran calls Ahsan al-Qasas, which is the story of Prophet Yusuf. Amazing story, a lot of beautiful, deep concepts hidden in that story. Now we look at it from our perspective, which is for this course related to Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. Normalizing the meaning of ghaibah. So from Mahdawi perspective, if I put it that way, the story of Prophet Yusuf is the story of an awaiter and the awaited. Yaqub alayhi salam is the great role model for us as muntadhirin, someone that is awaiting a beloved one that he knows that he is alive, but he doesn't know where he is. And all these actions and things that Yaqub alayhi salam does are great examples and role models for us. I mean, we can talk a lot about it, go one by one, but I just picked some of them to discuss. Sweet patience, فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ, Yaqub alayhi salam says. You don't hear any complaint from Yaqub during those 20-something years. The most beloved son was taken away from him, but he knew from God that he's alive. It seems that from the hadith we have that he knew that Yusuf is alive, but not where he is. Just that's that much God gave him the information, right? So Yusuf alayhi salam was in ghaibah. Was he in heaven? No. Was he recognized? No. He was living among people, but was not recognized as Yusuf. People benefited from him. He sent his blessings and all to people around him and also people in Canaan. When they came, they said, okay, you have another brother, bring him next time. I want to give you more. Do this, do that, right? He's taking care of people without being recognized. That's an example. That's a precedence. That's a example that Quran is talking to us. How can we benefit from Imam Mahdi? Don't you remember the story of Prophet Yusuf? Ahsan al-Qasas. We talked about the ghaibah, that he was not recognized even for brothers. He recognized them, but they didn't. When did he introduce himself? When God gave him permission. Now it is time. Now you have permission. So after that, he introduced himself. Anta Yusuf? Ana Yusuf. Yes, I am Yusuf. But before that, فَدَخَلُوا عَلَيْهِ فَعَرَفَهُمْ وَهُمْ لَهُ مُنْكِرُونَ. He recognized them, but they did not recognize him. Right? These are all related to the ghaibah of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. And God is setting the precedence. So quickly, remember, like when we were talking about in Mekyal course about Prophet Khidr, the hadith, when it talked about Prophet Khidr, said Allah intentionally made Khidr living long life to set the precedence for Mahdi alayhi salam. So because Imam Mahdi alayhi salam is the one who is fulfilling the most important mission of God, the promise of God, in my words, God had thought about it way before, thousands of years before he set examples. He talks about it. He make he makes prophets to go to ghaibah, this and that. Why? So no one questioned ghaibah of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. No one questioned the longevity of Imam Mahdi. No one questioned the ability to win, right? And all of those other concepts related to him. So with that, we go to two basically batini ayah. Batini, what I mean is the apparent text is not related to Imam, but Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, they mention that these are talking and alluding to this topic as well. There are, I think, two very famous ayat. You may have heard it before. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ألم تروا أن الله سخر لكم ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وأسبغ عليكم نعمه ظاهرة وباطنة ومن الناس من يجادل في الله بغير علم ولا هدى ولا كتاب منير. Brother Muhammad Saleh, can you read the translation, please?
Do you not see that Allah has disposed for you whatever there is in the heavens and whatever there is in the earth, and He has showered upon you His blessings, the outward and the inward?
There is a beautiful hadith from Imam Musa ibn Ja'far salawatullah alayhima, which I didn't want to deprive you all from because Imam went to details. The narrator, Muhammad ibn Ziyad, says, I asked my master Imam Musa about this ayah. What is it? The apparent or the apparent blessings and hidden ones, right? So Imam explains. Muhammad Saleh, can you please read this? This is in the book of Kamaluddin.
I asked my master, Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salam, about the Quranic verse 31st chapter, 20th verse. The Imam, peace be upon him, replied, the apparent blessing is the manifest Imam, and the hidden blessing is the hidden Imam. I then asked him, will there be among the Imams one who will be in occultation? He said, yes. His person will be hidden from the eyes of people, but his remembrance will not be hidden from the hearts of the believers. He is the 12th of us.
It continues, but before we go, as you can see, the concept of occultation was not so popular that everyone knows about it. Here and there, people knew. So when they ask the question, what is the hidden blessing? Imam says, that is hidden Imam, that God has blessed us with. And then now he has a question. Is that the case? Like, how is that possible that one of you will be in occultation? Imam alayhi salam says, yes, there will be one of us, which he will explain more about him. يغيب عن أبصار الناس شخصه ولا يغيب عن قلوب المؤمنين ذكره. His remembrance will not be hidden from the hearts of believers. Continue, please.
Allah will make every difficult matter easy for him, subdue every hardship, reveal to him the treasures of the earth, bring every distant matter near, destroy every tyrannical and obstinate one through him, and annihilate every rebellious devil at his hands. He is the son of the mistress of the maidservants, whose birth will be concealed from the people, and it will not be permissible for them to mention his name until Allah, exalted and glorious, makes him manifest. Then he will fill the earth with equity and justice as it was filled with oppression and tyranny.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. That's why I didn't cut the hadith short, right? So Imam alayhi salam. So remember, this is Imam Kadhim alayhi salam. So later Imams, now they're going to more details, and we can tell from the conversation to more public or less educated. I don't want to be mean to that person, but like Jabir had asked Prophet about Ghaibah of Imam Mahdi. So he was very close. But the second circles or third circles, they were not so clear about. Now Imam Kadhim alayhi salam goes to these details. Yes, there will be one of us who will go to occultation. His birth will be hidden, will be concealed from people. He will be Ibn Sayyidat al-Imam, talking about, hinting about his mother and all mission that he will fulfill, and explain that mission and relating it to that ayah. All right. So I think this is the last ayah in this topic, which again, similar to previous one, relates to Imam alayhi salam and his ghaibah, and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam have explained. قل أرأيتم إن أصبح ماؤكم غورا فمن يأتيكم بماء معين. Say, tell me, should your water sink down, who will bring you running water? Remember, as a reminder, we are not rejecting the apparent meaning. This is a great reminder for all mankind, humanity. If you don't have access to pure water, who will bring you clean water? God. Go back to God. But there's a hidden layer for those that they want more and they want to connect and basically benefit more from Quran. Imam alayhi salam, same Imam Qadim alayhi salam says, إن إذا غاب عنكم إمامكم فمن يأتيكم بإمام جديد. And أصبح and there is a beautiful connection between Imam. What happened? It went off.
It's back on.
There's a beautiful connection between Imam and water because وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيًّا. Everything is alive by water, because of water. So your spiritual life is because of the Imam and in connection with the Imam. If you are not with water, you are dead. If you are not connected to the Imam, you are dead. Spiritually, you are dead. So Imam alayhi salam says, if your Imam is, and this is in Kitab al-Kafi, if he goes in occultation, who will bring the new Imam, or who will bring the Imam back to you, right? Okay, any question, any comments?
Oh, Shirazi, I have a question. It's just a general question about the verse of the Quran, this particular verse. What would make you think that there is this deeper meaning here? Because the verse is so clear, it talks about water, and it makes sense, it's logical. But what will make you think that it's about something else? So basically, what brought about the discussion that no, I want to know more? Like,
exactly. So very, very good question. That's a very important question in Quranic science and discussions, right? So if you know that Quran has deeper meanings, that will trigger you to ask the question. Let me give an example or parable, which is ocean, right? If you are sitting on the beach, or if you have a ocean view room in your hotel and you are looking at the ocean, imagine you don't know what is in there. You just enjoy the amazing view of ocean. Don't get me wrong, that itself is so impressive. It's so great. Looking at the ocean and sea is ibadah, worship of God. Just sit, watch the beach, watch the ocean, watch the sea. It's amazing, it's broad. But guess what? If you know from somewhere else that, oh, there are treasures, guess what? We have less knowledge about oceans than the space. Then we say, wow, can you take me and then show me the depth, the layers, right? Yes, you are right. If we don't have that knowledge, if we treat Quran as a historical book which has basically shelf life, right? It will expire. Then we say, okay, it's talking about. So I'm not making fun, but this is, if we stop there, that's bad. That okay. The Fairfax water, when they become Muslim, like some countries, their slogan will be وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيًّا. I remember still all the water bills back home. It was written وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيًّا, which is great. It's a reminder that don't waste water because everything is alive because of water. But is that it? Is that the only message and mission that Quran had when they were talking about this? Why talking too much about water? Like if you look at the clouds, all of that. So there are And when we know that no, Quran is always fresh, always has a message, and this itself has been mentioned by Quran, says we contain, I mean, we have all the knowledge. We included everything in the Quran. And when we know from Ahlul Bayt that Quran has layers and layers of meanings, that they are all true, and they are, I mean, they may look contradicting, but they're all, if you look at that layer, they're all true, but they're going more in depth. Then, yes, when you have that knowledge, then you ask the Imam these questions. What is it? In asbaha ma'ukum ghawra, or وَبِئْرٍ مُعَطَّلَةٍ وَقَصْرٍ مَشِيدٍ. There are many verses in Quran. That's why I kind of excluded them in this course. There are many, as I said, like 300 to 500 verses that Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, they related them to Imam Mahdi alayhi salam with this perspective, like in a hidden layers or deeper meaning, right? I don't know if I answered your question, but I use that to give more explanation about this general topic of.
Thank you. I was just wondering if that was curiosity, all sort of put into a word, curiosity, like people know that there's something deeper here, so I want to know more.
Yes, and also it's not necessarily that. Sometimes you have the question because, for example, hidden blessing. What is it? What does that mean? Hidden blessing, I see it, right? So everything, like I drink water, I use, even oxygen is visible, right? Is not hidden. What is hidden? So that's a also logical question to ask. But I'm not necessarily saying that the only reason that people will come and ask Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam these questions is because of that knowledge. And sometimes we're gonna see one example, I think, in the last topic, Raj'ah. Imam alayhi salam is the one who initiates the conversation. What do people, basically Sunnis, non-Shias, say about this ayah? Then he responds, and the Imam says, it doesn't make sense because of this and that. It contradicts with that ayah. Say, oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. So what is the correct explanation? And Imam gives the explanation, right? All right. So with that, yeah, I think we can finish the companions. So by the way, friends that joined later, fortunately or unfortunately, we can't finish today unless we stay like 45 minutes more. So at the beginning, we asked friends, majority, they said have another session to be the final one. So friends that they joined later, if you can say your vote in the chat, that would be great. If we want to, do you prefer longer session today or last session, which will be next week? All right. So with that, let's go to the companions of prophets, companions of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. So I don't want to repeat the verses that we talked about, the righteous ones. You remember, Salihin, they're all talking and relating to Imam Mahdi alayhi salam and his companions, right? They are the ones who inherit the earth. But beside those, there are a couple of ayat that they are related to the companions of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, or at least one of the layers to the previous topic, Muhammad Salih and others. The layers are not just one or two, there are many, and each of them in that level is correct and talking about and alluding to a concept. One of them, this beautiful ayah in Surah Baqarah, فَاسْتَبِقُوا الْخَيْرَاتِ أَيْنَمَا تَكُونُوا يَأْتِ بِكُمُ اللَّهُ جَمِيعًا إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. Exactly. So take the lead in all good works. Pass one another, compete, right? Wherever you may be, Allah will bring you all together. Indeed, Allah has power over all things. So we may say, okay, this is about Day of Judgment, right? I'm not saying it's not, yes, but pay attention to the fact that Quran now is talking to believers, to ones that they compete, and he say, he will gather you all together, right? Day of Judgment, everyone will be resurrected. And actually, everyone will be all over the place, right? يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ, right? Everyone is escaping. But here, God says, I will bring you all together. يَأْتِبِكُمُ اللَّهُ جَمِيعًا. Again, I'm not rejecting the meaning, the apparent meaning about the Day of Judgment, but we see this, and there are a couple of hadiths. Again, I just picked one. Imam Baqir alayhi salam explains that khayrat al-walaya. It's the walaya of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. So compete about wilaya from one another, like compete with one another, pass. And the ayah, أَيْنَمَا تَكُونُوا يَأْتِ, wherever you are, Allah will gather you all together. It refers to the companions of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. يعني أصحاب المهدي الثلاثمائة والبضعة عشر, 313, right? That those specific people, that they are the best of the best, Allah will gather them, and they are the one. وهم والله الأمة المعدودة, right? يجتمعون والله في ساعة واحدة غزع كغزع الخريف. Arisa, can you read it, please? They will, read the whole hadith, please.
Imam, peace be upon him, said, the good refers to Walaya. In his sayings, wherever you may be, Allah will bring you all together. Refers to the companions of the Qa'im, who are 300 and few. By Allah, they are the enumerated nation. They will gather by Allah in a single moment, like scattered clouds gathering in autumn.
Again, part of this ayah is in response to non-Shias per se, because sometimes the question when you read the hadith, when it says, when it is the time for the Zuhur of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, the companions will be gathered in Mecca from different places. It's weird. Quran talked about it already. يَأْتِبِكُمُ اللَّهُ جَمِيعًا أَيْنَمَا تَكُونُوا. Who? Everyone? No, the ones that فَاسْتَبِقُوا الْخَيْرَاتِ. Those, the best of the best, God will gather them, right? So Allah has already talked about it, kind of normalizing it, right? So next one, which with that, this is the last verse of Surah Al Imran and would be last verse of our session today. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
Can I ask you a question quickly?
Yes,
that narration specifically talks about 300. Does that apply in our current times as well? Just those who are, for example, connected to wilaya, and they sort of, does it apply to us in any way in this current day and age?
I mean, inshallah, if Imam Mahdi alayhi salam comes, and inshallah we'll be among them, we will be teleported or transported quickly in Mecca. And we don't have time, but so if you read the hadith that talks about that night, how they gather like this, the clouds together, scattered crowd, they all will be brought up in Mecca. Yes, but are you referring to the concept of Raj'ah or like this is specifically?
No, I'm just saying that is it possible that the communities of Shia usually tend to form a bond and form a community, like they come together? It's just natural that they end up connecting with each other so well, and we have communities, several communities out there of Shia. Does that mean that this narration also applies to the current day?
If the
not
Shia
in terms of like being the companions of Imam Zamana, but just like as like withholding the beliefs and practicing them, and that's all. Yeah,
if the Shia communities they unite, that itself is one of the biggest miracles, right? Imagine all the centers in our area, for example, let alone the entire US. Okay, that's above my pay grade. So I think I see what you're saying. So are you saying that if we all gather around the wilaya and basically our competition be about wilaya, not other things, so we will be all kind of united?
No, I'm saying that whatever stage we are in right now, it's not an ideal stage, but it's a good stage. That the fact that we have communities and all under the banner of wilaya, it's perhaps that this narration is sort of applying to us as well, but we are not at the perfect stage.
And this hadith is specifically, sorry for cutting you off, but this hadith specifically is talking about those top ones, the 313, right? And it says this ayah, at least at that level, I'm not rejecting what you're saying, but I'm saying that we don't have necessarily a clear reason to say that, right? It's a very, because it says very specifically الثلاثمائة والبضعة عشر, like 313, right? They are the ones that this ayah is about. But again, I'm not being exclusive. The ayah may have other meanings, right? But we need the reason to say that, right? Okay, so with that, let's read the last ayah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. As I said, this is the last ayah of Surah Al Imran. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اصبروا وصابروا ورابطوا واتقوا الله لعلكم تفلحون. That رابطوا is one of those words that I was basically trying to see a good translation about. So, believers have patience, help each other with patience, establish good relations with one another, and have fear of God so that you may have everlasting happiness. So, Rabitu, friends that know Arabic or they're Arab, you know that it has a lot of different meaning, right? What comes to your mind? Yes, but guess what? Don't you have that meaning, Rabitu, also to protecting the borders? وَرِبَاطِ الْخَيْلِ. Oh, yes, exactly. Dua Imam Sajjad about the protectors of the borders, the term is murabitin, I think, right? The rabita has a broad meaning, which, again, it's beautiful. That's why Quran is in Arabic, right? So it means have good relations with one another, stay connected. To the previous point that Brother Muhammad Saleh said. So first of all, let's know that this ayah, according to Imam Baqir alayhi salam, is related to Imam Mahdi and his companions, people in his time, right? We have a couple of other ahadith as well. رَابِطُوا إِمَامَكُمُ الْمُنْتَظَرِ. Establish good relations with your awaited Imam. And also, Rabitu means, Rabitu Imamakum al-Muntazar means protect the border of your Imam. That's a greater level of companionship. Because sometimes we say, okay, we believe in Imam. Okay, good. That's very good. Okay? But don't stop there. Murabitah is a level higher than that, is protecting the borders. Meaning that arm yourself, meaning educate yourself, learn, try to dispel the misconceptions, try to protect the boundaries of the Imam, try to be the soldier for the Imam to protect his boundary and be one of those border protection people, right? Not and we have a lot of ahadith in that concept that they are the best of the best believers. The best of the best Shias are the ones that their life is about protecting the borders of wilayah, not letting the enemies attack and basically spread misconceptions, shubahat, and make the Shias go astray and join the other side, right? So with that, inshallah, we will be among those. And again, remember this ayah is very, very beautiful. Isbiru wa sabiru wa rabitu. It's as if it's talking to us, people of the time of the ghaibah of Imam. Be patient. Help each other with patience. Sabiru means like remind one another, help one another with patience. Remember the story of Prophet Ya'qub. Remember others that we have to do sabrun jameel. This is the will of God. We have to be submitted. And rabitu. Have good relations with one another. Have good relation. Establish good relation with your Imam. Protect the borders of the wilayah of your Imam. And then لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ. With that, inshallah, you will have everlasting happiness. So let's recite the salawat. Exactly 5 minutes. So any question, anything related to these verses? Let me check the chat, and if not, okay. Everyone next session. So inshallah, we will have our next session. I think we can have it at Imam Ali Center, right? Inshallah. So same order next week, and that would be inshallah our last week, which we will talk about the return of Jesus in Quran, which might be new, that what are the verses that are talking about the return of Jesus and the concept of Raj'ah, inshallah. So with that, let's recite a dua in order to establish a good relation with our Imam, living with our Imam, praying for him, talking to him, and be connected with him. Remember, in أصبح ماؤكم غورا فمن يأتيكم بماء معين. Imam alayhi salam is the water, like a water of our spiritual life. Without him, without being connected to him, we are dead. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد صلى الله عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب الزمان اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا اللهم اجعلنا من أنصاره وأعوانه وشيعته ومحبيه وامن علينا برضاه وهب لنا رأفته ورحمته ودعاءه وخيره اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد صلوات الله